Manchester City play like U15s and pay the price for it. Chelsea benefit from all the slumping leader teams. And San Diego release their new kit. And it's boring. That and much more here on Monday morning's Morning Kick Around. Howdy and welcome to the show, coming to you live each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm Robert Kerr, happy to be joined by my partner in the mornings, Mr. Jason Davis. How you doing, sir?
I'm well. What a tease. What a sell. San Diego releases their kit, and it's boring. That was a great
More
job.
at 9.
I appreciate that. That got me going this morning. I'm ready for this.
Oh, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get into business. If you love the show, want to tell all your friends about it, feel free, hit the like and subscribe button. We're ticking right along to our first goal of 500 subscribers. Let us hit that before the end of the year. We are running out of time. It's about quarter to 2025, so click that button. Follow along on the social medias at mkickaround at X, Instagram, Blue Sky, and then morningkickaround at gmail.com. Further note, I had a real life, someone wanted to find the show on YouTube, sitting at the table with them. We should emphasize it is kick around, one word, morning kick around.
Oh,
it's two words. They were looking for kick around, and it was bringing up Chuck Norris and all sorts of other stuff. So kick around, one word.
I never even considered that kick around could be 2 words. To me, that is a thing, a noun. It's a kick around. You and I are doing a kick around, right?
We are.
Yes? Okay.
We are kicking our morning around, so it is not Chuck Norris's fitness program, Kick Around. We're kicking around, one word, 2 words for morning, kick around on YouTube. Click the button, tell your friends, family, and foes. But let's get into it, shall we? Let's kick off Monday's Long Balls. We are here on Monday morning, glad to be joined by all of you. Monday, December 16th, coming to you to review the weekend that was. Long ball number 1, Manchester City lose the Manchester Derby, just 1 win in 11. Bernardo Silva with a...
They're bad. They're bad. They're a bad team. They're a bad team,
quote
Rob.
the quote of the day from Bernardo Silva, we played like U15s and paid the price for it.
They certainly did in terms of the goals they gave up to lose. That last one. What is happening? Like, how do you explain that to somebody who, maybe thinks of? Imagine, you remember the Saturday. I'm going to age myself. You remember the Saturday Night Live skit, Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer? Do you remember this one, Rob? Is that something
I do remember that vaguely.
I believe this was what was his name? Phil
Hartman.
Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman playing a caveman who is unfrozen and then becomes a lawyer in the modern times. And he's always like, I'm just a simple caveman, and then explains why his client should win the case. I feel like we're kind of like, if you unfroze somebody who or somebody who fell asleep, I don't know, a year ago at this time or 2 years ago this time, you woke them up and you said, that's Manchester City. They go, no, that's not. What are you talking about? That's not Manchester City. That can't possibly be the same team that I've been watching win titles after title after title, make the Champions League final, win the Champions League. I think that can't be that team. What is that? What just happened there on that last goal from Diallo? That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand. My brain, I'm too simple a caveman. I can't understand this.
The closest soccer bar to my house is a Manchester United soccer, where the United supporters group locally in Metro Detroit come together for these games. And they were, to say it mildly, were reveling in Manchester City being a normal team. Once again, the magic looks like it's gone. And for that winning goal from Amad Diallo, it was a really fun. It was like a 3-step reaction. It was like a gasp of the pass, then the touch over the goalie, and then the touch towards goal, and then Guardiola's failed back heel, was it, to clear off the line? It was like a
Yeah.
It was
was
like a 3-4 step climax.
A series of catastrophic event. What is the series of unfortunate events? It really was that. It was it was like watching, like a Keystone. We still talk about Keystone Cops, even though nobody knows what that is because it happened in the 20s or whatever. Like it's the oldest possible film that we've got, Keystone Cops. But we reference stuff like that because you can see it coming. It's like, oh, he's going to step on the rake. Oh my God, he stepped on the rake. And then he falls backwards. He's going to fall into the kiddie pool. And, all those things, you can see them happening before they happen. But again, what's amazing here is that nobody saw this coming for Manchester City. A loss here or there. Sure, the best teams in the world lose games sometimes.
That's why you play.
Right, exactly. You would if you just on paper you're the best team, hand them the trophy. Why would we play the games? We play the games because mistakes happen and teams can lose. But like this, again, I'm going to evoke another sort of meme-like pop culture reference. It's like from the original Matrix, when Joe Pantoliano switches sides and decides that he's going to live in the Matrix.
Bliss, baby. Ignorance
and
is bliss.
He starts pulling out the things to connect people to the Matrix, and the one blonde-haired girl's like, not like this, and then he pulls it out in the real world, and then she collapses. It's like that. Not like this. Not like that. How? Not like, if you're a City fan, not like this. It's so dramatic. I don't know if I can say collapse, because are they cooked, Rob? Are they cooked in terms of achieving anything this season? They are not a title contending team. Not right now. And I really can't see, I know we'll talk about Liverpool and what happened at Anfield and obviously Arsenal, and they're continuing. And there may be, outside of Chelsea, everybody's kind of bottling it a bit. And maybe that gives City an opening. But to me, this looks like a team that just doesn't have it this season. Right? And honestly, you can't even be that critical of that because, of course, it was going to happen eventually, especially when you look at their roster and you can see the age happening down that squad. And they didn't sign players to replace. Kyle Walker's 34 years old. They're still relying on Kyle Walker at 34 years old. Those wheels held on for a long time, but eventually the wheels start to break down a little bit. So this is all sort of like, yeah, of course, it was going to happen on some level at some point. But this dramatically, the way that it's going down against the teams that they are losing to, Manchester United, come on, right now.
That was actually a really, really boring nothing burger of a game until the last 2 minutes.
Exactly.
In fairness.
Exactly. It was kind of like nobody wanted, and that's what I thought we were going to get. We're going to get a boring, maybe 1-1 draw. We get a boring score draw, a set piece, and maybe a penalty, and then okay, that would be the story of the game. They would split the points, and neither of them would feel good. It would be just like Bear Bryant. Was it Bear Bryant who said, tying is like kissing your sister? It would feel just like that, except in this case, City contrived to bottle it completely, and now we're sitting here like eyes agog, just like, what? Does Pep really need to leave? Will he get fired in the morning? He's not fired yet. It's the morning. But will they have to consider these things, or is this still something that can be turned around enough to say, all right, that sucked, but we can get through it?
It's hard to believe that City are where they are. Like 1 win in 11. For any team in the world, that's a bad run. But for someone of those of standards, it's mind blowing. But I still, because for what they've been for the last 10 plus years, you feel like they're like the T-1000 in Terminator. Even if you shoot them and they get smashed into a million bits, all the little pieces will somehow come back together and start chasing you again.
Right.
So I feel like come January, they'll buy 3 of the world's best players and, just proceed as normal. Win the rest of the. But that's what I'm saying. Like, we didn't really bat an eye too much when Cole Palmer left City to go to Chelsea. They have so many good players. Players leave. They'll have more. Do they have more? Yeah. And then just like fullbacks, defenders, they've let many go, but who's come in?
Maybe nothing is more indicative of the slide here. And I think that there's a couple things working. One is just flat out age. But then again, that speaks to a lack of willingness to refresh the squad, right? To bring in younger players. They've brought through a couple of kids, Rico Lewis, Oscar Bob. These are younger players, but are they players like City you'd usually go out and find? right? Players who had already achieved something at a pretty high level, so you could say plug and play, put them into this team, give them Pep's tactics, we go win titles. That's kind of the way City was doing it for a long time. Now City's not doing it that way, and maybe nothing is more indicative of that than the fact that Ilkay Gundogan came back.
Yeah, and he did not look like the player before he left yesterday.
And they're relying on, and it's not that Ilkay Gundogan is a bad player now. I'm not saying he's a bad player now, and I'm not saying that there aren't a lot of teams that wouldn't want Ilkay Gundogan in their midfield. Sure, there are, but again, a 34-year-old player who is not the player he was 5 or 6 years ago is a key part of this City team this season. That says something, right? That's like, oh, we don't want to, or we don't, or again, I don't know. Like, it can't be that they don't have the money, but everybody who runs any sort of business, no matter how much money they have, eventually looks at the books and goes, well, we probably shouldn't keep spending like that. Like, we should probably slow down a little bit. And that seems to have been the case for City. If you go look, obviously Chelsea went bonkers. Chelsea went trust fund baby on a shopping spree at Christmas time. Like, that's what Chelsea did. That's beyond anybody. But City was behind United and Arsenal over the last couple windows in terms of total spend. So this is not a team that is spending their way to having the kind of players necessary to keep their dominance. I think they were trusting Pep to figure it out with the group they already had. And again, bringing back Gundogan is an indication that Pep is still stuck in this idea of, like, my guys can get it done. And the passage of time is not going to hurt us in meaningful ways. And yet, here we are with evidence in front of us.
We could talk about this probably for an hour. This is just quite a series of events unfolding, and seeing the fall from grace for, or at least the temporary fall from grace from Pep Guardiola, and just how will he react? He's never just had to sit in it like this before. It'd be very interesting to see where this goes. But other teams also missed their opportunity. Liverpool and Fulham in the MK Derby.
Yeah.
Liverpool did not cover, so I guess
No.
I guess
We didn't
I'm
set
indebted
stakes.
to you.
We didn't set any stakes. This is what we should have done. We didn't have. Now, maybe it was because the first time and both of us were a little trepidatious about a bet, but we didn't set any stakes. It's okay. It's okay. We're going to compete in a different way later in the show.
Yeah.
So that's coming up. But yeah, Liverpool did not only did they not cover, they dropped 2 points at home against a team that, on paper, when you look at your fixture list, you go, that's 3 points at home. Fulham is 3 points at home for us if we're going to win a title. And I'm going to, until I'm proven completely wrong, until it's impossible for me to be right, I'm going to maintain that the race is over and that Liverpool's going to win this title, Rob. But, at this point,
I've seen lots of second places in my time, and so I never. You made the declarative, and I don't like to go there.
Well, okay, I was not convinced by Chelsea, but you look at Chelsea's form, they could very easily pass Liverpool by the end of the calendar year. Now, it's important to remember that Liverpool had that Merseyside derby postponed, so they have a game in hand. It's 2 points, but it could be 5. Now, the problem is that you're not counting. Okay, the problem is, what Spurs team does Liverpool get next Sunday when they try to make it 5 or whatever it is? Obviously, Chelsea's also playing. They've got Everton at Goodison Park, and that looks like very much like a Chelsea win right now. So I don't know. It's a fascinating race at the moment. And again, City has now dropped down to 5th. Nottingham Forest has moved into a Champions League position after beating Villa at the City Ground. What is happening right now, Rob? What is happening?
It was a great weekend for me to root for my enemies. I mean, at the Man United bar yesterday, I'd never rooted so hard for them to get a result, and then Pickford, stymieing Arsenal. I mean, he pretty much saved the points on his own, earned his team a point rather, and that was pretty incredible. Arsenal not taking the opportunity when it's presented, and Chelsea, the only team that took care of business, so to speak, at the top end, other than Nottingham Forest, and that was another game where they saved it right until the end to get 2 goals and really stunned in that match.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a wild Premier League season to this point, and we're about to hit that that incredibly intense period where the games come about every 2 days people are playing during the festive period. They call it festive, but for the players it's like, oh no, what's coming, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and some people get presents, some people lose their legs around Christmas, and Premier League players amongst those, because it'll be maybe midweek, then weekend, then Christmas day after, and then at the weekend again for FA Cup, perhaps. But yeah, a gluttony of Premier League or English soccer on the way. Long ball number 2 coming stateside. Plenty of news. It is our first real weekend of off-season MLS news. Where should we start? Atlanta hired Chris Henderson, sporting director from Miami, kind of lines up the Seattle front office from yesteryear.
Oh yeah,
Henderson coming joining Garth Lagerway. So
yeah,
still
Garth Lagerway.
Coaching hires still to come though.
Yeah, they don't have a coach yet, but I think getting Henderson in is a step in that direction. My joke on Blue Sky was, and a very obvious one if you are of a particular age, but this is Blues Brothers. It's getting the band back. They're getting the band back together. They're putting the band back together, right?
But are they on a mission from God?
They might be on a mission from God. I'm not sure if they're on a mission from God. What is it? It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas and half a pack of cigarettes. Is that it? Hit it?
Yeah, hit it.
Hit it. Except it's Atlanta in this case. It's not Chicago, I guess.
You'll get stuck in the traffic either.
Why would Chris Henderson and Garth Lagerway be 106 miles from Atlanta? I have no idea. I don't know what situation led them to be 106 miles from Atlanta, but they could be. And obviously, this is good news for Atlanta United fans.
It's dark and wearing sunglasses, says Jenny.
It's dark and we're wearing sunglasses. I would love for them to go as those Blues Brothers for Halloween or something. That would be incredible. Come on, Garth. Come on, Chris. Let's do this.
They show that up to the coaches unveiling wearing the Blues Brothers.
They should do. They could show up to the coaching unveiling wearing Blues Brothers suits and hats. They should do that. Good news for Atlanta. We don't know again what does it mean for the coaching hire. Not sure about that, but obviously a big step for them in the right direction to get somebody in who knows what they're doing. And of course, you've got a team with ambition that had that run in the playoffs that ultimately came to an end, but you can feel that there's something cooking again in Atlanta if they just get a couple more pieces in and they get the right person to lead this team forward.
Do you think they're going to get Pogba as a player, not as a coach?
As in Paul, or
Yeah.
are you talking about one of the Pogba brothers, one of the myriad Pogba brothers? It's like a clown car situation with the Pogba brothers, I feel like.
Yeah, we'll move on from Pogba. That's a whole nother episode. In further MLS news, over the weekend it came out that Vancouver Whitecaps ownership have begun their process to sell the club.
Yeah, interesting. I think Sportico values them at $430 million. We'll see if that's what they get. I mean, I don't know what the Canadian exchange rate is right now. I think it's pretty close. We used to have such a big advantage. It used to be like Canadian money's not worth anything, and now it's basically the same, I think. But no, this is big. Greg Kerfoot is the guy that bought the team back in 2003, 2004, something, when they were still a second division team in North America. I think he paid a couple $1 million for the club, and now here they are about to go for something like $500 million at the end of it. Remember that Vancouver does not control or own their stadium, which is a thing that comes with a team like RSL, who was sold. The most recent MLS sale was RSL, and I think they went with for $400 million. So maybe that brings it down a little bit. There's lots of potential there. Vancouver, had some good things going. They made some smart signings. They never spent a ton of money. We liked Vanni Sartini, and maybe this explains why Vanni Sartini didn't come back, that they decided to jettison him rather than sign him to a new contract because it would clear the decks for the next ownership group. That's probably the case.
Is this a surprise? I'll ask that for those not in the mix as much. Is that a surprise?
I don't know. I mean, the timing of it's interesting because I guess you could argue that a World Cup in North America would boost everybody's value, and if you sell after 2026, you're going to get more. But maybe they see something different coming, or maybe it's just the time. They've run out of money themselves to do this. Whatever the turnover is, whatever the revenue is, whatever the expansion of the brand is, they've hit a wall. I don't know. I mean, Jeff Mallett, Greg Kerfoot, these are the rich guys you don't know. Steve Nash is involved, right? I did see this makes sense, Rob, to a lot of people. Why wouldn't Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney get involved, or at least Ryan Reynolds? He is Vancouver. He is from Vancouver. I think it's in all his handles and stuff, right? Like he makes a big deal out of being a Vancouverite, Vancouverian,
Vancouvian?
a Vancouverer. I don't think that works. He doesn't have the cash to do it, and he's tied up.
I was gonna say
other
Vancouver
things.
Whitecaps are a lot more expensive than Wrexham.
Yeah, that's true. And by the way, I didn't realize this. I went to my local wine and alcohol purveyor here in Virginia, Total Wine. I'm sure everybody's got Total Wine. Total Wine had the Wrexham Lager right there, front and center as I walked through the door.
No way.
Wrexham Lager now available in the United States for the first time ever. Oldest brewery in England. I think it shut down for a while, but I believe Ryan and Rob bought it and brought it back to life, and now they are shipping their beer overseas. So I think it's pretty standard stuff, a lager, an English lager, Welsh lager, I guess. Welsh lager. Started by Germans.
When I hear those stores, I always think of like you go there for just like a good complain. Like you go for just a Total Wine, you open the door, and it's just like a bunch of people complaining. Wine.
No, that's a terrible dad joke. We're not doing that. Nate says, why are these established clubs, why are they being sold below the franchise fee? Didn't San Diego pay more? Doesn't that mean the owners have created negative value or the franchise fees are overpriced? No, not necessarily. I mean, I certainly think you could read it that way. The other way to read this is the startup costs are always going to be more. So there's a fee for San Diego that my understanding includes a lot of things like getting the academy up and running and all that stuff. I mean, what goes into the coffers, what gets distributed among the other MLS owners, because, this is sort of, or in terms of like diluting your shares, right? Your shares, there are more shares out there now. So the value of your shares diluted, they distribute. It's sort of like dividends when you have a stock situation, right? I mean, you can view it as a pyramid scheme if you want to, but it's, in character, it's a little different simply because everybody knows what the deal is and they're all sort of involved in it together. But I do think that kind of explains some of this, and let's kind of strip away the actual economics of it. Just while I think you could, plenty of people do say MLS's economics don't necessarily work, and this is a league that could collapse under the weight of not bringing enough revenue with all. Well, wealthy people, super wealthy people, like the people who have bought a share of San Diego, the people who might buy Vancouver. These people like being attached to these teams, right? Like they might view it as a business proposition, but in a lot of cases, they're viewing it as an extension of themselves, right? They're as competitive as anybody else. That's why they're successful in business in the first place, many of them. And so the idea is, I get to live vicariously through this thing I own. I am that thing. If that team wins, I win. I think John Textor is a great example of this right now in world football. He's got Crystal Palace, or maybe selling Crystal Palace because he wants to buy Everton. I don't think he's buying Everton. I think Friedkin's buying Everton. He's got Botafogo, who just won the Copa Libertadores. He's got Lyon. And all. It's not business-wise, these aren't really going well for John Textor. Lyon owes 500 million euros. They're going to get relegated if they don't figure out their debt situation. But he just won titles in South America, and he's on the field fist pumping because he wants that feeling. I think a lot of it is that. Whether they're in the box or on the field, this is what this is about.
Our final note on our MLS News Roundup, San Diego FC released a kit.
Did they? I didn't notice.
They released.
I didn't see it. What happened?
It is a dark colored shirt.
We could have gotten the image here, but we didn't want to bore you. We didn't want to run you off from Morning Kick Around. We thought, why put it on the screen when you're just going to go, oh, that's terrible, and turn off the show? It's just a dark blue kit with some colorful stripes. Those Adidas kind of like flank stripes. I can't even really
on the hip. I'd call
I mean, they start under the armpit and they go down to and they probably connect with the shorts. Like, do they connect with the shorts? Is there a stripe on the shorts too? Isn't that usually how they create like a flow? It's got the kit has to have a flow.
All the things I'm seeing is like cool people with like jogger pants on.
Oh, they got
Which is
jogger pants wearing? Okay, they're not even rocking their shorts properly. Where instead
correct,
we're
but
seeing.
I wouldn't be able to pick this out between the DC United kit, to be honest, like a dark
Well, I
shirt
mean,
with the
it's
three
it's. I
Adidas.
think it's. I don't know. Color scheme wise, I guess it's like a thing. I guess like it just. I mean, it's. I don't know. There's lots of teams, lots of dark blue teams, lots of blue teams. Okay, so I'm gonna. This is always my favorite part. The individual elements. And remember, this is a boring ass kit. There's nothing here except for this colorful stripe. And this is how they describe the elements of the kit. Side stripes in our colors of the community. The gradient represents the constant flow from one community to another in San Diego. Their state of flow, they have state of flow on the collar. Inside the collar, where the tag would be, it says state of flow. Come on. Don't make it so easy for us. Our
It's the
state of flow.
went opposite from the San Diego Wave. The women's team had such a bold, colorful release. This
Yeah.
is kind of
Yeah.
the opposite, eh?
Chrome embellishments, a reflection of our community on the fabric of our like literally, they're saying that these chrome elements reflect light and therefore they are a reflection of the community. That's what they're
Let my
saying.
light shine back upon you.
And they chose chrome, Rob. Chrome. Is that chrome is for cars. Like chrome is like, oh
It's not
man,
a
look at all
mirror.
that chrome. Like when you're 25 and you see the yeah, you see the After Effects, whatever that's called, the the, the ground
the-
effects kit, and it's like the car's chromed out. You're like, ah. You know who would love chrome as a color scheme? All the people that are going to be on our Hip Hop 11. We get to that. Lots of those guys would love some chrome. It does.
Let me get that
Nate,
chromed out kit, playa.
Nate is 100% right. It sounds like it's an SNL skit. Like if it wasn't so niche, if it wasn't so narrow casting, I would beg SNL to do a skit in which they have the people who design this stuff try to explain to the ownership what these things are all about, what the elements are. Like inside the tag, it says state of flow because we flow from one community to another across San Diego. It's like, what are we doing?
Love it, love it,
Oh,
love
man.
it. All right.
And you cannot say this with a straight face. It says, we are chrome and azul. We are chrome. It says we are chrome. Continue. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Is that going to be the chant? Chrome, Azul, Chrome, and
Sure.
Azul.
Yeah, on one side, the stadium, they go chrome. On the other side, they go azul. On the other, they chrome.
Azul. Beautiful stuff. We shall see how San Diego FC continues to unveil themselves moving forward. Long ball number 3, plenty of action. Americans abroad. Since we're kind of on that area of the country already in San Diego, we'll go just across the border. American Alex Zendejas contributing in large part to Club America beating Monterrey 3-2 on aggregate to
Yep.
win their third straight title in Mexico.
Yeah, Zendejas is an interesting player. I mean, obviously, congratulations. Felicidades, Club America, another title, third in a row, right? A level of dominance in Mexico that we have not seen in a very long time. We were taking a look before this run. Club America hadn't won a title since 2018. That's a long drought for them. They are the monster of Mexican football, right? It's Club America and Chivas. And I mean, that's the Clásico down there. But obviously, you have Chivas kind of drifting a bit. They have had good seasons, but Club America is just such a big club with all the spending power in Mexico. So them winning this title, beating Monterrey, who's obviously been one of the best Mexican clubs over the last decade too, it's a pretty big deal. Zendejas is an interesting character. More of a central player at Club America, probably never going to get that opportunity with the U.S. men's national team. It just, not only does that role not really exist exactly the same way, I don't think, you also just have, there are a couple of options there. And maybe I'm wrong about this, and maybe Mexican football fans can tell us, maybe Club America fans can tell us, is Zendejas better suited for that role than Gio Reyna is? And we're going to talk about Gio Reyna in a second, but is he better suited for that role than Gio Reyna? I think most people, most American fans, most U.S. men's national team fans have Zendejas pigeonholed as a wide forward. If he's going to play, he's going to play probably on the right, in the place of a Weah, in the place of I don't know. I mean, it's like, where is Zendejas in the tiers of players? Well, he's kind of right there with Brendan Aronson, which is, I think, is unfair when you consider that Zendejas has been critical to a team that just won their third straight title in Mexico. Well, Brendan Aronson's having a nice season at Leeds, but it's somewhat limited, and he's playing in the second division. It's one of those things that's really hard to figure out, and obviously Pochettino's the guy that's got to do it. So, congratulations to Zendejas. Congratulations to Club America. I will point out that they finished eighth in the Apertura standings and won the title. So they did what an Atlanta United or a Red Bulls could not do, which was be way down the list and then end up winning a title because we do playoffs in North America, Rob.
It's playoff time. Across the sea, we talked about him on Friday. Gio Reyna played a big part and scored a nice little goal for himself for a rare appearance for Borussia Dortmund at the weekend.
Scored a banger. Now, I saw the quotes from Nuri Sahin. He said that Gio can be an important part of this team moving forward. And we've now gotten two examples of Sahin having confidence in Gio Reyna. That Gio is healthy enough, and Sahin is thinking, hey, this might be one of my guys moving forward. I posited that the choices in the Champions League against Barcelona were about rotating for the weekend because Dortmund really does need to improve their league position, right? And with the draw, they ended up with a draw against Hoffenheim. Despite the Gio Reyna goal, disappointing draw, they are now in 8th place in the Bundesliga. That's
the
not
magic
where
spot.
they want to be.
That's the magic spot. You sneak up on them from 8th.
Yeah, sure, yeah. That's not where they want to be, obviously. That's a problem. But Gio gets 2 consecutive starts. He goes about 75 minutes in each start against Barcelona, against Hoffenheim. I'm a little surprised he got the start against Hoffenheim. I am. I'm mildly surprised. He also started Guirassy up top. Adeyemi came off the bench at halftime. Sahin's trying to figure out this mix, and he's got some injuries that have obviously hurt him. When Julian Brandt comes back, that's going to be the measure of how important Gio Reyna is to Nuri Sahin. Because if Julian Brandt is playing, if he's healthy and he goes right back into the lineup, well, it was really just about covering for Brandt, and Gio's going to go back to being a substitute, and we go back to, wringing our hands over one of our best players not playing enough minutes, and we talk about January and a potential loan again. But if Reyna can stay in the lineup with the Julian Brandt available, then obviously that's where we are. That we're good. We're good, at least in terms of Gio's playing time, even if Dortmund is struggling.
In Italy, for Americans, obviously no Pulisic for Milan with his injury. The American duo for Juve got the nod. Weah and McKennie both playing significant roles in the 2-2 draw with Venezia. But probably the overseas standout performance would probably be Jedi Robinson getting some assists against Liverpool.
Let me mention that Gianluca Busio also went 90 minutes for Venezia in the draw against Juve. So, yeah, both Americans on the field to start that game. Weah came off in the 65th minute. Weston McKennie went the distance. Disappointing draw for Juve. They needed a Vlahovic penalty in the 95th minute to get a point against Venezia. And Venezia is a relegation fodder team, obviously, in Serie A. But, yes, Jedi Robinson is the star of the Americans Abroad weekend with the 2 assists he had against Liverpool. Auditioning for your team, Rob? Maybe, possibly, could it be?
I mean, there is, heavy rumors of Trent Alexander-Arnold going to Real Madrid. Andy Robertson hasn't been, challenging for the world's best fullback in a little while, and he got a red card, which got him sent off, which wasn't a good look for him either. So, there definitely could be in the market for fullbacks, and Anthony Robinson could be the latest in the line of players who hurt Liverpool, then put on the Liverpool shirt later on.
Well, let me ask you to put your Liverpool fan hat on. Was that a red card for Robertson? Do you believe it should have been a red card?
I don't. It's a very harsh one. Very, very, very harsh one. And I don't think so, but it's really hard to know what is, because in 1 week, didn't we see the foul at the halfway line be a red card or not? So I actually don't think it was. In my heart of hearts, I try not to get riled up about referee decisions anymore, because throw a dart at a dartboard and that's the decision. It feels like at times, but it was a harsh decision. But you move on. I thought they dealt with being down to 10 men for almost the entirety of the game,
They
but
did well
it
with 10
definitely
men.
didn't
Yeah.
make the MK Ultra Derby any easier, and they almost came back, but 2-2 draw. But easy answer is no. I don't think that was a red.
Okay. I mean, they in the
Do
moment,
you?
obviously changed the game. I think it's very dicey to call that a red card. I think there is enough doubt within that situation, and you can go and read the individual boxes that it needs to check for denial of a goal scoring opportunity, and then determine whether or not you think it reaches that criteria, meets those criteria, because that's why you send Robertson off. Because it's not violent conduct. It's simply about, did he deny a goal scoring opportunity? But to your point, Liverpool was, if not the better team, just they were right in it. They were 100% level in terms of their ability to create things on the other end, despite the fact they were down a man. I will say Bernd Leno did not look good when Diego Jota just made him look like a fool. Disappointing from that perspective as a Fulham fan to be watching it, to have the lead 2-1 from the Rodrigo Muniz goal, which I think was that Rodrigo Muniz's first goal. He has two. He has 2 goals on the season. His second goal. He hasn't scored much this year after being very good down the stretch last season. After taking the lead, I was like, okay, we're going to win at Anfield. This might be oh, no. We gave up a goal down, up a man. I mean, obviously both the goals, the Gakpo goal and the Jota goal, came with Liverpool playing down a man. But again, back to the American abroad, the American involved in this, he was excellent. Jedi Robinson was excellent. Just, physically, his touch, his speed, his crossing, everything has improved over the last couple years. And he is, if he's not world class, he is knocking on that door.
Yeah, his learning curve from when we first saw him when he was first introduced to the men's national team, what, in like 18, 19 or so. That player who was obviously like fast and raw, but compared to where he is now, joining in the conversations, like the mainstream conversations for best fullback, and he's come a long way. And do you feel, as a Cottager, do you feel he's outgrowing the team?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I hate to say that as a Fulham fan. I'd love to keep him. But it's clear that his level is higher than Fulham. He should be in teams that are challenging for titles. He should be playing Champions League football. That's 100% true. There's no doubt about that. And I think the chances of him not going somewhere this summer are about nil. Like, I think it's absolutely certain somebody's going to come in for Jedi Robinson, and Fulham's going to take that offer. And I don't know. I was trying to look up his value. Do you know what? Okay. Obviously, this is what the market will dictate. But what do you think his value over at transfermarket.com is, .us?
So I am trying to guess the transfer market value for one Anthony Robinson. I
Yeah.
will say 22 million.
Okay, they have him at 28 million euros, which would probably be close to 22 million pounds. So something like that. And if you're a club like Liverpool, I know Liverpool hasn't gone on crazy spending sprees. What's the last major spend for
The last-
McAllister? But was that? Well, I'm trying to remember the timeline here. Gakpo, McAllister.
Diaz. It might be
Nunez.
Nunez might be the
Nunez.
biggest layout in a long time.
Yeah, if Liverpool can get a starting quality fullback for 25 million pounds, do it right now. Do it right now. Do it. Go get him, because you're not getting a better deal than that for a player. And he's 27 years old, so we're not talking about a guy who's got, 5 or 6 years left in his prime. But Liverpool can win titles if they keep this team together. They might have to replace Salah, but if they keep this team together, they can win titles with Jedi Robinson at left back, 100%.
Exciting times for the American at Fulham. Before we move on from our long balls, I want to note Aaron Pimentel's comment in the under the video regarding San Diego FC. Maybe they'll be known affectionately as the Roman Chrome, which I thought
The
was-
Roman Cromans. No.
Roman Chrome.
His is better? I don't know. Roman Chrome. That's doesn't sound good to me. I don't like it.
Funny.
I don't like it. Yeah.
funny though.
They need to make a lowrider themed kit. That's okay. That's a thing. Yeah.
We'll
All
see.
right.
We'll see. They'll have like the lowrider theme in their little video. But be sure to like and subscribe Morning Kick Around on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in as always, and follow us along at M Kick Around on social media. And write us a note, morningkickaround@gmail.com. We're going to take a quick sip of our morning coffees and come right back with a culture war. All right, here, Monday's Culture War. The war against the League Cup continues, perhaps, or at least the League's Cup in its current format. During the broadcast for the Apertura title game on Mexican television, the Liga MX commissioner spoke out about changes coming to the League's Cup involving not pausing Liga MX and perhaps making it just a midweek competition.
Yeah, this is Liga MX's president, Mikel Arriola. He said that the League's Cup will adopt a new format, eliminating the month-long pause for the competition and opting instead for midweek matches. Quote, "We just approved the new League's Cup format. We're no longer going to hold camps in the United States. We'll play midweek so Mexican teams don't struggle, and Liga MX games will be played on the weekends." This is what he said before that game in Monterrey that you were just talking about. In 2023-24, we had the month-long break in the middle of the season, which, League's Cup took over. This follows what we've heard from Ernst Tanner, where he was talking about the Philadelphia Union maybe not participating in League's Cup, and that's led people to speculate that this will be some sort of stripped-down version compared to what we've had the last couple of years. Man, I think this is absolutely admitting defeat on the part of Major League Soccer. I don't know just how committed to this Liga MX actually was. I think they saw value in being partnered with MLS. I've talked about this dynamic before. You've got two ambitious leagues locked into a geographical problem. They want to compete with the top leagues in Europe. They want to be on that level. And the only way you can imagine one day getting there is drawing more attention from fans who can go and watch the Champions League in midweek, who are paying attention to those competitions. And you have to create an environment where you can make more money to spend on players, but attract players, all these things, right? And so the Leagues Cup was a swing at that. Was it perfect? Was everything guaranteed to work? Of course not. You could argue it's an experiment, but I think from their perspective, it was a necessary experiment. But I think what we're seeing here, and I don't even know if this is based necessarily on the returns they got from the competition, money-wise, attention-wise, but I think it definitely is an admission on the part of both parties, if we're changing the format, that this month-long tournament that happens in the summer every year just cannot continue the way that they imagined it initially. And I suppose you could argue they should have seen it coming, Rob. But it looks like we are watching the slow death, or at least the retraction of the Leagues Cup.
Well, the executives in charge of Leagues Cup should have kind of known, like you said, the foreshadowing of it, when there's more complaining about adding a new thing rather than like, wow, this is an exciting tournament. Like, how many people genuinely, they weren't on some sort of a payroll or on a team or a club official, were waxing lyrically about the Leagues Cup? I mean, there was a lot of the precursor, like the initial opening cup games that were not well attended. I mean, obviously the final, everyone gets up for a final, and those latter stages were well attended. But my mind almost turns with the Leagues Cup. Was it this year was the second year for it?
It was the second year of the full everybody plays, we stop for the leagues for a month thing, yes.
So is this an encouraging sign for those around the world who aren't excited for the Club World Cup? Maybe the first iteration will happen and so many people will drag their feet and complain about it that like maybe it's a one and done.
Interesting. Well, I think the will to continue will be different. The incentives are different for Major League Soccer and Liga MX than they are for FIFA. FIFA has every reason to want to keep making the Club World Cup a thing. It does not matter to them if the players are being ground into dust. It doesn't matter to them if they're being forced to fly across the world to play in this thing. None of that matter. They don't have to juggle the club calendar. The only thing FIFA cares about is taking their authority over parts of the club game, in this case determining a global champion, and making money off of it. That's what this is about. And of course, we talked about the connections between DAZN and the Saudi PIF, and how the Saudis getting the World Cup in 2034 is all connected to this. They're doing Gianni Infantino a solid by backing DAZN to spend $1 billion in the Club World Cup when it's not clear that there's a market for that to make that kind of spend at all worth it. Those things are out there. In terms of the league, I will give MLS some credit. It is sort of like not begrudging credit. I won't say that. It's sort of a credit with a negative edge to it, right? This isn't saying good job. I applaud you. No, this is more like,
Bless your heart.
okay, I guess you did okay-ish. The willingness to adapt and change and shift when things don't work or when you need to make adjustments has always been a good thing for Major League Soccer. Now, I mean, in aggregate, in totality, there obviously are negative things that come with it. Fans are still frustrated that the rules are opaque and we don't understand how teams put their squads together, and roster rules are deep and long, and there's allocation. What do you mean they have rights to that player? They have no connection to him, but they put his name on a list, and suddenly they're the ones that get to negotiate first, and they get some benefit if they don't sign him because somebody has to trade for his rights. Those things are all wild and weird and strange, and we don't like them. But in aggregate, it's been better for MLS to be able to adapt and change its rules than to say, well, the rules say we can't do that. Well, we can't add players. Sorry. No, of course, they have to be adaptable when they're trying to be meaningful and relevant in soccer in this country. I think the Leagues Cup, I didn't like it to begin with, just as a fan. Like, if I strip out my concern for sort of the growth of the game and just as a fan what I want to watch, I didn't like it. That first year, or the first year with everybody involved, 2023, with Lionel Messi, and the show he put on when he arrived, beating Cruz Azul on the penalty kick or on the free kick, and then obviously going on and winning the whole thing, was fun in a way, but it was also kind of like always odd. It always felt strange. It was like, well, this isn't a real competition. This isn't what we're supposed to be playing for. So I guess this development here, what Ariola has said, to back up what Ernst Tanner said, to imagine a future where they're stripping this thing down, it essentially becomes the Superliga, if people remember that. It becomes Superliga, which, okay, I don't know. It's. I guess if we're going to do it, don't do it as big and as disruptive, but maybe just don't do it at all. I don't know. And again, it remains true. He said they're not going to do camps in the U.S., but I don't know if that means that what he's saying is that the clubs will only travel midweek for games in the United States. I don't know if this means games will be in Mexico, because if this competition is going to be legitimate, Rob, it's got to be in both places. It's got the home team. The Mexican clubs have to play at home games in their own buildings against MLS teams.
I mean, the concept of, like, good teams playing other good teams that don't always see each other, that's fun. But it devalued so many other competitions in its existence. Obviously, it pulled teams out of Open Cup. It takes away the uniqueness and the character of the CONCACAF Champions League Cup. And there's also the Campeones Cup, which is the one-off game.
By the way, I don't think it's impossible, and I go back and see if I can connect these dots. I don't think it's impossible to think that CONCACAF adjusted the format of the CONCACAF Champions Cup now in deference to something like the Leagues Cup.
Oh, for sure.
Because they went to CONCACAF and they said, we want you to sanction this. And they were like, but we got the Champions League. I was like, okay, yeah, you do. But come on, we're the big dogs here. We're the ones that make decisions. We bring in the most money for CONCACAF. You should do what we want. And they said, okay, fine. We'll let you have the Leagues Cup, but we have to adjust the Champions Cup on the other side of that. And now you have a Champions Cup that's been adjusted, and that format's changed, and people are going to be like, what is happening? And again, I don't know. I don't know that this is better. Again, they took away the group stage matches of the Champions League now Cup. Where are we with this? Can we just pick a lane and stay in it for a while? Would be nice.
Yeah, let's have the season look the same for more than 2 years in a row, maybe?
Yes. Yeah, that'd be nice.
It's a little bit of consistency, because it's nice to know, to be able to check in, see where it's at, see what's coming. The traditions, adding traditions to not only clubs, but fans and just in general. familiarity breeds, connection, and if it's changing every year, then those bonds are broken. Big or small, whether your team or competitions. Yeah, Nate, what are we doing? What are we doing? He says.
What are
in
we
the chat.
doing? What are we doing?
Like and subscribe to Morning Kick Around on YouTube. We're ticking away, getting closer and closer to our first goal. Or follow us along on social media at mkickaround and morningkickaround at gmail.com. Come back in a flash. We're going to ask the big question of the day. The big question returns here on Monday morning. It's on the edge of everyone's lips. Who
Yes.
will make
The
the
edge?
morning kick around?
Yes.
Hip Hop
Yeah.
11.
So, do people? How many? Excuse me. How many people remember when we spent a segment of the show just debating what positions our 90s and 2000 rappers would play? Like that was a thing. Like we went
Last
back and
week.
forth last week. We went back and forth. So we kind of laid the groundwork a little bit. I'm not sure we actually got anything done, but we decided that okay, finally let's do some payoff. Rob wants the payoff. This is Rob's baby. You've been carrying this all the way to term.
I love how you're deferring this part of the show, but okay.
I mean, I just think that you are very into this idea, which I appreciate. Again, we share our love of this music of this time period. We do. We have that in common.
We do.
It makes sense for us to talk about it. But I woke up this morning and Rob's like, "Here's my 11." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess I got to do one too. I guess I got to do one too." Who wants to go first? Who's going first?
All right, so how about, since I'm the lord of this segment, how about I go first and then you challenge?
Okay. One thing I will admit that despite the fact that I'm putting a lot of this on you, I have a bench and you didn't do a bench.
I have a bench in my text messages.
Okay,
I don't
you
have
do.
it visually displayed, so I can
Okay.
throw that up against you.
All right. Well, here's your 11, which you're calling Ride or Die FC. You could call it Rough Riders FC, but that's just too specific, right? That's one crew.
Ride
And
or
you wanna-
Die is a song, a crew, and as like a whole, it's a part of the Urban Dictionary now. It is a type of person, or people call
Okay.
each other their friends or their partners.
All right.
Ride or Die.
I
so
think
it's in the
you
zeitgeist.
are already simpatico with Benjamin here because Benjamin's saying, I'm looking at your 11. Benjamin says outcast of the midfield duo for me. And look at that. Look at what Rob's got right there in his midfield. A couple of 8-10s in Big Boy and Andre 3000. So you're doing the work that Benjamin wants. Walk us through your team, Rob. Give
All
us your
right.
thoughts.
He can sense danger, and he tells everyone to put their hands where the eyes can see. Buster Rhymes in net.
Okay.
At the back line, flying up the flanks, we got Lil Wayne and Eminem on the other side. Center backs, controversial maybe. I was going between coaching staff and center backs for these guys. Jay-Z and Dr. Dre. The
All right.
experience.
I think the
at the back.
physicality is there. I will say, if I can comment on your picks, Busta is a goalkeeper. I'm not sold on that. We'll
He's
talk about
big,
the
quick,
differences.
crazy.
He's different. We'll talk about the differences in our lineups when we get there. Jay and Dre as your center backs, I can understand it. They are physical guys, right? By the way, I think we're leaving a lot of off-field issues aside during this 11
Hey,
discussion.
if we're gonna scrutinize character, this list changes.
I mean, this is not. Yeah, we are not. This is. This is not World Star. We are not like bringing actual events of the world into our 11. We're just telling you who we have. Okay, so Jay and Dre at center back. Wayne and Eminem. Those are decent picks. I can see Wayne as a wing back or as a fullback who gets up and down the flank. Is he more defensive minded that Eminem on the other side, or you got? I mean, is he your Joe Scally? I guess is my question.
I think. Well, I had him just because of pure energy. He can go fast when he needs to. He can break
Sure.
it down when he needs to. So I
Sure.
think he's like an Amrabat sort of guy. I don't know if you guys remember
Ah,
him back in the day
sure.
at Watford, but he could do both. He could be the stay-at-home fullback, or he could push forward depending on the situation. And when I threw this in the chat last night with some of my buddies, everyone seemed to like the DMX at the 6, but
I
he
think
was
DMX
a
is
red
6.
card danger.
Oh, he is 100% a red card danger, but he is a 6. I think there has to be an acknowledgement that DMX can only play one position in this 11. See, okay, so you've got DMX at the 6. And again, the only member of that crew, Big Boy and Dre, are your midfielders
Yeah,
out
Big
of
Boy is
Atlanta.
box to box. Like he's kind of doing a Weston McKennie sort of a thing. Physical. He's getting in there, but also can hand the ball off to the more skilled players up front. And Andre 3000, he can just do everything. The creator, the magician.
Yeah, he's your
He's my
string
Ricky
puller.
Pooge.
Yeah, he's your Rick. That and he, you know what? He could pull off the hair for Ricky Pooch too. Like he could do the same thing. That's pretty good. That's
And
pretty good.
he
Okay,
can even be halftime entertainment and do some fluting for us.
give me your top. Give me your front line here because.
All right, the front line. Okay, another part of controversy of my lineup is folks didn't know who would be overlapping. Lil Wayne is probably going to be doing all the lapping on the left side of my lineup.
Right.
And anyway, so we got Biggie Smalls, Tupac on the right wing, and then Nas in the middle.
Nas in the middle.
Just
So
like
you're-
we got a lot of
you-
physicality, lots of versatility, but a
Give
lot
me-
of skill.
Give me an equivalent. Give me a parallel. What kind of forward is Nas? Is he
Nas, I almost thought
he's
he
a Michael
was,
Owen kind of forward? Is he what yeah, give me a sense here. What kind of forward? Is he maybe a little David Villa? Are we
Yeah,
playing him as a false
Th-
nine
that's who
sometimes?
that's who I was thinking, or Gabriel Jesus. He likes to work with the ball at his feet, but he's more often probably one touch finishing in the box. And then I think Tupac on the right hand side, equivalently, it's almost a shame to put him on the right because I almost think of him as a Sergio Aguero. Like he's got the raw power, but also the skill to harness that power.
Yeah, so okay. So that's your 11. And we'll get we'll get to your bench. Let's do benches separate cuz let's do 11 cuz I want to compare. So here mine will include my bench. You'll be able to see my bench, which we'll get to in a minute. All right, you did not have Snoop in your 11. I think that is a travesty. I don't understand how you did that. How you left Snoop out of your 11. But I got him a goalkeeper. I can understand the argument that he's a little bit, he's a little bit too casual back there. Like he's got some Andre Onana type tendencies as a goalkeeper. Like maybe you don't really want him trying to pass out of the back. I could see that. But I got Snoop in there as my goalkeeper. He's long, he's lanky, he can cover some net. All right. Now, you also
Won't
did not
argue.
have Redman in your lineup. I can understand it. Lots of people forget about Redman. Most underrated guy in the entire industry from this period is
Yeah.
Redman. Okay, okay. And then I got Biggie as a center back. I don't know. I just think size wise, energy wise, and I got Buster as a center back. Now, look, again, not hating on your goalkeeper choice, but I like Buster's energy. I think there is some real strong sort of Sergio Ramos energy
Ooh.
from Buster Rhymes as a center back. If you want, and I can't. You put M at right back. I didn't have another spot for M, and I was like, I don't think I can play M as I don't want to play him as a 9. I don't want to play him as a 10. I don't want to. I don't know. I want him involved, but I don't necessarily want him being a high utility on the ball kind of guy. So I got M at right back like you do. We already both agreed that X is the DMX is
our only thing that's the same.
yeah. Well, I have Andre there too. I have Andre in that
That's
creative
true,
role
that's true.
that you do as well. So Andre 3000 is there. You also had no Wu-Tang representation, which again
okay,
to
so
me.
we'll get to that part when we talk about benches and stuff.
Okay, but I needed some representation. I know it's a difficult choice, and you can make an argument for like 4 different guys as the Wu-Tang representative because I can't play them all. Then it's just a Wu-Tang 11.
Okay. So to be clear, Wu Tang is my MLS next roster,
Okay, all right.
and
But
it's
I think
not to say that they're lower, but just want to keep them all
Oh.
together. They can make a full
Oh.
roster.
Okay, but I got Ghostface Killer in there. Okay, so I got Ghostface, and you could put Meth in there. You could put Jizza, and you could do any of these guys, but that's the one I picked. I went with Ghostface Killer. I got Nas on the left. Now you play Nas as a false 9. I can respect it, but I wanted Tupac up top. I think there's like a Drogba energy to Tupac as a center forward.
Yeah,
So
he's got
that's
the quality to harness the power.
That's the kind of guy I want. I want a guy who's physical, but got a little bit of pace. He's just a stone cold finisher. I think Tupac Shakur. And I'm admittedly an East Coast over West Coast guy. Like that's my tendencies lean way to the east rather than to the west, but I cannot deny. And again, I got Snoop in goal. So I got a West Coast guy in net, and I got a West Coast guy up top. And then I got Wayne on the right. Because you can't leave out Little Wayne. You can't leave him out. Now, you want me to do my bench now, or do you want to give me your bench?
It's up on the screen, so go for it.
All right. Also, I named it Crush Groove 11, FC only because that's the beginning. Like, this is a club that goes back, to the beginnings of hip hop, and then
Okay.
these are the guys who are playing, later on in the future. If that makes any sense.
Okay.
Also, have you seen Crush Groove?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Crush Groove is a movie that is essentially a fictionalized version of the birth of Def Jam.
No way.
So, yeah, you
I thought it
you
was
should
some
go.
sort of a greenery reference.
No, no. Well, probably on some level it is, but if you have not seen, I cannot believe this. This is a hole in your experience. You need
Yeah.
to fill this hole. So,
Did it
again,
come out between 94 and 96?
no. This came out in 1985.
Oh.
This is a movie from 1985 that is based on the birth of Def Jam pretty much right after it happened.
Oh.
So in this, I'm shocked. Blair Underwood, Blair Underwood, the actor,
Yeah.
he plays a fictionalized version of I'm gonna blank on my Def Jam. This is just Russell Simmons. Sorry, he plays a fictionalized version of Russell Simmons. Obviously, a much better looking version of Russell Simmons than Russell Simmons. But anyway, Run DMC is in the movie playing themselves. Curtis Blow's in the movie playing himself. The Fat Boys are in the movie playing themselves, sort of. And there's a whole vignette where they go to Sbarro and eat pizza and pasta. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
They got
You have to see
Authentic New
Crush-
York.
You have to see Crush Groove if you have not.
I'll have to do so.
Okay. Anyway, that's why it's called Crush Groove FC. My substitutions, my bench. Black Thought, feel like he's got to get mentioned here. Not everybody, is a Roots person, but come on. Q-Tip, again, Tribe. Feel like my personal preferences, I would try to get Q-Tip into the lineup, but I don't think he beats out anybody that's in my team. MF Doom, if we're going to go just a little outside the mainstream, I know most of our guys, this entire team, both these teams are pretty mainstream guys, Rob, right? These are big industry guys. MF Doom, obviously not a big industry guy, but it felt like we need to get some representation there. The ladies, Lauryn Hill and Lil' Kim, are absolutely incredible rappers in their own right. They deserve some mention. Big Pun, couldn't get him in the team. Oh, I put Big Boy.
He had
I
fitness
put Big Boy on
issues,
my
probably.
bench.
Yeah.
I put Big Boy on my bench. I put Andre 3000 in my lineup. So that I did split up Outcast. I know not everybody's gonna love that, but that's just the way I went. So we got Dungeon Family, we've got Bad Boy, we got some Def Jam,
Some Subterranean.
I got Tribe in here. I got Lil Jon as my manager, just as you mentioned. He's like the perfect hype man for this team. He's out there yelling instructions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Okay,
do
go
something
ahead.
good. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. He can do that. He
And
can do
then
that.
at the beginning of the game, let's go. He's got all the catchphrases for a
all the
coach.
phrases necessary. All right. Who's on your bench? We
All
can't
right.
see it.
On the bench for Ride or Die FC, we got Redman and Method Man.
Okay. You got
got
them together like a unit?
Yeah,
Like
they'll
Red and
double
Meth
su-
the unit?
They'll
Okay.
double sub for the Andre and Big Boy. It'll be
Okay.
like tandems
When you
in and out.
take Outcast off, you put Red and Meth on together.
Correct.
Okay. Sure.
Super
sure,
subs. And
Sure.
then Ludacris is a backup forward. And then
Luda. Wow. I didn't even think about Luda. Okay.
and then Mos Def.
Most Dev. All right. Well, so that's where you're going a little bit more, intellectual with your choices. Okay, I see.
It's a
Okay.
high-minded sub. And
All
then
right.
and then as my backup center backs, I got Ice Cube and Juvenile.
Okay, I hadn't thought about Juvenile.
Back
That's a
that
miss.
thing up. You got to back up that back line.
Yeah, that's a good one. Who was the other one you just mentioned? Jay-Z.
No. He's a
you have
starter.
Jay.
I got Ice Cube, and then backup
Ice Cube.
goalie
You
is
have
Snoop.
Cube. Okay. Yeah.
And then we
I-
are coached by the CEO, Master P.
Yeah,
So we got
ooh.
we both got down south.
I did
legends
not
as-
get
as our
any. But I
coaches.
did not get any New Orleans talent
Wayne.
into
You
my
got Wayne.
Oh, I did get Wayne. That's right. Okay, I did get Wayne. Right, but I didn't get. Man, big
No,
timers.
no limit.
Does big timers get in this team somehow? Are they somewhere? Are they in my development squad? Big timers. Come on. That
And
that
then,
was an era too.
I big timers doing big things. Or was
Oh,
it
man.
do it real big, car real big, pipes real big, and then so coached by Master P, and then my MLS Next Pro site is the Wu Tang Clan, and MLS Next is the Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Bone Thugs. Okay, they had their minute. Okay, yeah, that was early.
All
early.
right. So we're getting in the chat here. Benjamin's next. Next
Producers
up is
11.
Producers 11.
Yeah.
We'll have to combine those from the jump, I think. I don't know how if my Swiss Beats gets in there,
Oh, Swiss Beats is in there
and then
100%.
Manny Fresh,
Manny
obviously
Fresh is in there
Pharrell.
100%. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
okay,
Jay
Chad,
Dilla is probably in there. Jay
Yeah.
Dilla needs to be in there.
first off the bench at least.
Kanye did not make it into our 11, but he was much more of a producer influence during the time frame of our talent, because this is late 90s 2000s we went with. So Kanye would, I mean, again, we're leaving off the field stuff aside. He could be in a producer's 11 for this time period, absolutely.
All right,
And
so I don't know
Timberland-
if there's any
Timberland
way
for
to
sure.
put both of ours together, but chat, who do you think who's got the better 11?
Yeah, who
here?
wins a game? Who wins this this incredibly interesting matchup between two fictional teams made up of rappers?
I think
wins?
I think Urias noted the one weakness in our two sides with Biggie being on the wing is probably he spotted that was more for comedy than
Yeah,
probably for practicality. So,
yeah,
so if there was like your Crush Groove 11 could probably attack down that side,
Yeah.
and Wayne might be a little bit
Yeah.
on an island without the cover there.
Yeah,
but,
well, and I think I got Wayne on my right side going forward. So somehow we've got duplicates of these guys. By the way. They're playing each other, but they're duplicates. They're like exactly copies, copies.
all right, so maybe we should post these on the socials, both pictures together. Maybe we try to
Yeah.
get some replies on
Yeah.
who's got the winning side amongst our MK11.
Yes.
Funny stuff. Thanks for indulging me in our 11.
No,
there,
I
Jason.
I
That
had
was
a
a
good
fun way to
time.
round up
I'm giving
Monday.
you a hard time about pushing for this. But
All right, so we switch over to
yeah.
the producers 11 next time, or maybe your
man.
your favorite EDM DJs.
Yes, right. Yeah, your favorite DJs. What do we say? Emo bands can get in there somehow. I guess we could do.
Yeah, would your forward for an emo band be like the guy who like hair flips the best?
I don't know any of those bands. Like I could name a band I think is emo, but I would be guessing. So I don't know that I would be the right one to answer that question. I don't know. I don't know. We could do a whole backpack. There could be a backpack team rather than the mainstream big industry 11 that we just put out. We could do a whole. Again, does MF Doom make it into that team? I've got thoughts about people like Gift of Gab, and you could go up north and talk about. I'm trying to think of the guy out of
I'm a
Slug.
Talib Kweli guy.
Is
or I
it
was
Slug out
back in
of
the day.
Talib Kweli? It's a good one for sure. Yeah, I mean there's no Rakim didn't get in here. We
He
didn't
could have
talk
been the
about
manager. Ooh.
we didn't talk about Gangstar at all. We didn't
Producers
you know?
11. Producers 11. We get was it DJ? Oh man, DJ Premier. On
DJ
here.
Premier. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Paul Wall didn't get in here anywhere, and Chopped and Screwed didn't make the cut. We have. I mean, that's a little bit early, but come on, Scarface is iconic. How is he not involved somewhere? Man, yeah,
We'll
we
see.
got a lot of holes.
We'll
Got a lot
see.
of
We'll
holes.
see. So we'll
Yeah,
post this on at
Chicago. Chicago has no representation. You're a former Chicago resident, Rob. Where's the Chicago love?
If we did Chicago, I would definitely first thought would be Twista down the wing.
Twista would be in there for sure if we were doing Chicago.
And then
Yeah.
what's Jenny's throwing?
You know what?
something in
Somewhere like maybe as the physios, we do Crucial Conflict. If people remember Crucial Conflict.
as the physios.
Hey, in the middle of the barn. Come on. Oh man. All right. We can
Thanks
do
for
this
thanks for
forever.
joining in, everybody. It's been a fun Monday morning kick around, and we'll post these at M Kick Around across social medias, X, Blue Sky, and the Instagram. That should be fun. Maybe get some more input on who might win Crush Groove or Ride or Die FC. Follow us along at those social media handles. Give us a click on the subscribe button. And even, I heard there's a bell. So when we do these, you get the old ring-a-ling at Morning Kick Around. Those 2 words, not 3. Morning Kick Around on YouTube. I think this morning's been thoroughly kicked. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Ow.